We got you updated. This is Radio Imanzi News in English.
This is Radio Imanzi, broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news in English, brought to you by Fiona Umuganwa. The headlines. President Paul Kagame today presided over the swearing-in of the two newly appointed cabinet ministers. Rwanda hopes to attract new investors who will help in research and improvement of the quality of minerals in Rwanda before they reach the international market. DPO Group, a leading African digital payments company, has announced its partnership with Bank of Kigali to onboard e-commerce merchants for the bank. The Rwandan army, together with that of Mozambique and the SADC, has killed 5 members of a terrorist group in the province of Cabo Delgado. French President Emmanuel Macron brought his diplomatic effort to defuse the crisis over Ukraine to its capital of Kyiv on today, a day after hours of talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin yielded no apparent breakthrough. Now the news in detail. President Paul Kagame today presided over the swearing-in of the two newly appointed cabinet ministers, namely Minister of Infrastructure, Dr. Ernest Nsabimana, and the Minister of State in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Patricia Uwase. During the ceremony, the president challenged leaders in general to double their commitment in serving Rwandans. He said based on reports, there was a clear gap for extra efforts needed to achieve the country's development ambitions. The president also mentioned that the Gatuna border between Rwanda and Uganda was open, but the protection measures against COVID-19 must be respected, and also that the health authorities between the two countries could set sanitary measures so that they do not encounter any problems on the border. President Kagame singled out several other issues that should not be tolerated from leaders, including prioritizing individual gains at the expense of public good. He also singled out the issue of embezzlement from leaders through activities that are established to improve the welfare of vulnerable families. He added, while it had been emphasized several times, it is time for better commitment towards serving Rwandans, because through such mistakes is how we lose. Rwanda hopes to attract new investors who will help in research and improvement of the quality of minerals in Rwanda before they reach the international market. This was announced during the Rwanda Business Forum organized by Rwanda in Dubai, which took place on February 2nd to 3rd. The Director General of the Mines, Petroleum and Gas Board, Yamina Karitani, pointed out that the meeting was organized for the purpose of presenting Rwanda as a financial hub. They had the opportunity to explain to investors the opportunities to invest in Rwanda, particularly in minerals. Frank Butera, Executive Secretary of the Rwanda Mining Forum, explained that they have been operating at a lower level for some time, so there is a need to strengthen it, and that all the investors they have spoken to have expressed their desire to enter the Rwandan market. There are currently over 500 mining sites in Rwanda and over 250 mining and processing companies. The Senate has resolved to summon a government representative to provide explanations to issues related to the depreciation of the Rwandan franc and price fluctuations on the market. When Parliament decides to summon a government representative, it writes to the Prime Minister, who then delegates an official at cabinet level to appear before the legislators. Other issues that the upper house wants the central government to respond to include inadequate investment into the agriculture and livestock sector and concerns in the insurance sector. DPO Group, a leading African digital payments company, has announced its partnership with Bank of Kigali to onboard e-commerce merchants for the bank. The development is said to allow Bank of Kigali customers to access efficient e-commerce and payment services through DPO Group's robust platform. DPO Group currently works with over 60,000 active merchants from 20 African countries. Reports estimate that across sub-Saharan Africa, the potential size of the e-commerce market will grow to $180 billion by 2025 and over $700 billion by 2050. In Rwanda, the estimated e-commerce growth is from $0.52 billion in 2020 to $0.97 billion in 2025. Now some items of international news. The Rwandan army, together with that of Mozambique and the Sadaka, has killed 5 members of a terrorist group in the province of Cabo Delgado. These rebels were killed in clashes in the Zambeze area of Makomia district. One of the soldiers who provided this information announced that they were on patrol when they came across this camp. He also mentioned that these rebels were 5 in number. Tanzania has agreed to sign trade agreement between the East African Community and European Union. The East African Community could finally sign the new economic partnership agreement with the European Union this month after Tanzania changed its initial stance. Back in 2016, Tanzania cited the economic and constitutional uncertainties that rose from Britain's decision to leave the European Union. With the exit of its core market from the European Union, it had little to gain from the partnership agreement, and that signing up would harm its national interests. Joseph Borrell, the European Union Foreign Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security, says Tanzania has agreed to join the rest of the East African Community countries in ratifying the deal that will see the region enjoy quota-free and duty-free access to the lucrative European market. Burundi's former president, Domitien Ndayizeye, has been appointed by the 35th session of the Conference of African Union Heads of State and Government of the African Union member states to the 5th Panel of the Wise. The Panel of the Wise is a critical pillar of the peace and security architecture of the African Union. It is mandated to support the Peace and Security Commission's work, especially in conflict prevention in the continent. Ms. Ndayizeye took over as president from Pierre Buyoya in 2003 and played a key role in Burundi's transition from post-Buyoya era to the current ruling party that took power in 2005. The Ugandan army and the Army of the Democratic Republic of Congo have launched a second phase of massive attacks against Allied Democratic Forces rebels bases. The strongholds of the ADF are located in the provinces of Ituri and North Kivu. The group has often used the forests of Congo-Kinshasa to carry out terrorist activities on Ugandan soil and in the eastern part of the Congo. A DRC soldier said, earlier today they launched the second phase of the Operation Shuja and fired on other Allied Democratic Forces bases in Ituri and North Kivu. The Prime Minister of Mali, Choguel Kokala Mayiga, has accused France of plotting to overthrow the country through its military operations. Maiga attacked France for more than 45 minutes in front of diplomats gathered at the Prime Minister's office in Bamako to call for the Operation Barkhane led by France to put an end to its activities. Maiga also attacked Takuba, a unit of French special forces launched by France and which was to accompany Malian troops in the fight against the jihadists, stressing that the group had no other goal than to divide Mali. French President Emmanuel Macron brought his diplomatic effort to defuse the crisis over Ukraine to its capital of Kyiv today, a day after hours of talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin yielded no apparent breakthrough. The Kremlin wants guarantees from the West that NATO will not accept Ukraine and other former Soviet nations as members, that it holds weapon deployments there and roll back its forces from Eastern Europe, demands the US and NATO reject as non-starters. US President Joe Biden has said that any prospect of Ukraine entering NATO in the near term is not very likely, that he and other NATO member nations refuse to rule out Ukraine's entry into the alliance at a future date. After meeting Macron, Putin said without elaboration that some of the French president's proposals could serve as a basis for a settlement of the separatist conflict, adding that they agreed to speak by phone after Macron's visit to Kyiv. Rwanda Stock Exchange market report of today, the 8th February. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 2,070,400,500 Rwandan francs from 16,661,500 shares traded in 9 deals on the equities market, and 512,500 Rwandan francs worth of bonds traded in 1 deal on the fixed income market. MTN Rwanda closed the counter at 180 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 108,000 Rwandan francs from 600 shares traded in 1 deal. Bank of Kigali closed the counter at 245 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 10,731,000 Rwandan francs from 43,800 shares traded in 5 deals. I&M Bank closed the counter at 45 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 549,000 Rwandan francs from 12,200 shares traded in 1 deal. Beredwa closed the counter at 125 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 2,059,012,500 Rwandan francs from 16,604,900 shares traded in 2 deals. Simerwa closed the counter at 120 Rwandan francs. Equity Bank at 440 Rwandan francs. Kenya Commercial Bank at 370 Rwandan francs. National Media Group at 1,200 Rwandan francs. Uchuri Supermarket at 104 Rwandan francs. RH Buffalo at 526 Rwandan francs as the counter closed. The currency market review of today. The Burundian franc buying price was 0.5 and the selling price was 0.51. The Kenyan shilling buying price was 8.8 and the selling price was 8.9 Rwandan francs. The Tanzanian shilling buying price was 0.43 and the selling price was 0.44. The Ugandan shilling buying price was 0.28 Rwandan francs and the selling price was 0.29 Rwandan francs. The euro buying price was 1,146 Rwandan francs and the selling price was 1,169 Rwandan francs. The British pound buying price was 1,357 Rwandan francs and the selling price was 1,384 Rwandan francs. The US dollar buying price was 1,003 Rwandan francs.